Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Frama Panyi. Hannah Olayenka is the sign language interpreter. Let's begin with the headlines. Nelfund resumes disbursement of students' upkeep allowance. World Population Day, spotlight on Nigeria's demographic future. And U.S. trade tariff overshadows ASEAN regional summit in Malaysia. And now the news in full. The Office of the Vice President has noted with serious concern the gross misrepresentation of remarks of Vice President Kashim Shettima during the public presentation of the book OPL 245, the inside story of the $1.3 billion oil block by Mohammed Bello Adoke, SAN, held at the Yaradua Center, Abuja on Thursday, July 10, 2025. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwocha, made the clarification. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
President, that Mr. President, you do not have the power to remove a sitting governor, not even a councillor. They sought for the opinion of another SAN in the cabinet, Kabiru Turaki, who said, I am concurring with the opinion of my senior colleague. That was how the matter was laid to rest, but that was how my relationship with Mr. Bello Adoke and Aminu Waziri Tambuwal became eternally sealed.
Certain online news outlets and individuals have distorted the Vice President's comment in the pursuit of a mischievous agenda, twisting his account of how the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan, considering removing him from office, then as governor of Borno State, at the height of the insurgency in the Northeast region. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwocha, said the sensational reporting, which strips the Vice President's remark of their proper context, ventures into fiction by drawing false equivalence between his personal experience and the state of emergency declared in Rivers State.
We put it for the records that this Vice President is totally in support of the actions taken in Rivers State. This Vice President has never questioned the action of Mr. President and will never do that. This Vice President said that, look, that there was an attempt to remove him from office by the then President of Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan. What we have in play today is suspension of a governor, right? Suspension of the government of Simfubara in Rivers State. It is totally different from the attempted removal of the then Governor Kashim Shettima in Borno State. And I think we must give accolades to the president, because if not for his actions, if not for the bold decision he took in Rivers State, by now nobody would have been discussing about Simfubara. He would have been perpetually impeached. Impeached means, look, there wouldn't have been any space for him to come back. And so if you have a situation where you have discussions, as it is being alleged, going on to bring him back, I mean, it gives some accolade that, look, that this president exercised wisdom. Because otherwise, by now, Simfubara would have been gone. And nobody would have been talking about his coming back. But through that action, you can see that, look, that there's opportunity for the governor to come back.
The spokesman said Vice President Shettima stands in a loyal concert with President Tinubu in implementing difficult but necessary actions to safeguard Nigeria's democracy, urging media organizations and political actors to desist from the destructive practice of wrenching statements from context in order to fabricate non-existent conflicts. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Now, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, is urging Nigerians to support and embrace the reforms of President Bola Tinubu, reassuring that they are not created to cause hardship to the people. This was during an engagement with the national leadership of Ex-Councillors Forum in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
We don't give anybody, unless if you can defend democracy. We are defending, we do it for you. That's why, Minister, thank you very much. Thank
The
you.
government chief image promoter has been found worthy for his people-oriented services and dedication in transparently communicating government activities.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, because from the onset you have been always result-driven in all pursuits of your antecedents. To stand on the statements are all availing for us to see them.
For the awardee, the reward for hard work is more work, and therefore reaffirmed that the Supreme Court pronouncement on local government autonomy is part of President Tinubu's noble gesture to strengthen democracy at the grassroots. The minister equally recognized the forum as worthy partners.
So we want to thank you thus far for the support that you have given to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we urge you to please continue to explain to the people, because you are a 70,000 strong body, and all of you also have your supporters across the country, across party lines. Please ensure that the message of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gets to Nigerians. Let Nigerians really understand what the mission of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which is to restore Nigeria, to take it to the height that all of us envision, and to put it on a solid path of sustainable prosperity.
The ex-councillors forum, with about 70,000 active members, has been operating as a non-governmental organization, playing an active role in strengthening democracy at the grassroots since 1999. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, has intensified a wide-reaching diplomatic campaign described as door-to-door diplomacy to secure Nigeria's election into Category C of the International Maritime Organization IMO Council. Speaking to delegates on the sidelines of the ongoing 134th session of the International Maritime Organization Council in London, the minister said that Nigeria is not just seeking a seat, but are offering partnership, commitment and leadership. The minister, while delivering President Bola Tinubu's goodwill message, underscored Nigeria's readiness to deepen bilateral maritime relations, highlighting investment potential across strategic areas including shipbuilding and repair, port modernization, green shipping corridors and intra-Africa maritime trade. Cornerstone of Nigeria's campaign is its impressive performance in maritime security, particularly the eradication of piracy in Nigeria's territorial waters and reduction of incidents in the larger Gulf of Guinea. Among the countries already engaged in this diplomatic outreach are Greece, Spain, Oman, Bangladesh, Namibia, Mexico, Italy, and several others. And as the global community marks World Population Day today, the message of resilience and hope for the 8 billion people living on the planet resonates stronger. This year's theme, empowering young people to create the families they want in a fair and hopeful world, underscores the importance of investing in youth as key architects of tomorrow. Olusheye Adiagbo reports.
This year's World Population Day shines a spotlight on the critical role of health education, particularly reproductive health, in managing population growth and supporting sustainable development. This is Chinedu Eze, a school living certificate holder who has ventured into craft making.
As a youth, if I want to marry now, I would like having one wife with 4 kids. Why 4 kids? Because I know by taking care of them will not be an issue.
His awareness reflects a growing consciousness among some Nigerian youths, but the broader global picture remains troubling. This year's World Population Day is a call to action for countries to ensure that young people have the rights, tools, and opportunities to shape their own futures.
As a matter of fact, by this year, we expect that 19 children that are 19 years and below constitute half of the population of the country. That's a very youthful population. But beyond that, as you may recall, earlier in June, the State of the World Population was presented, and that report emphasized a real crisis in fertility. So this year's theme centers around that, which is how do we address the fertility crisis? And since the family is the agency of fertility, the focus is on the family. How do we empower young people to be able to create the type of family they want?
Experts in population management argue that while this demographic structure presents a unique opportunity, failure to invest in it could lead to demographic doom rather than a demographic dividend.
74% of our population is under the age of 34. So it's a youthful population. Once you have the youthful bulge, if you do not invest in them, give them skills, ability, make the environment enabling for them to be able to be easily employed or employ people, there will be problems.
And that's why we are happy that this year's theme has drawn attention to this. We're also happy that the present government is already thinking along those lines. The government has put in place various reforms that are intended to address youth unemployment and to get more young people involved in governance and in policy decision-making. The new coordinating minister for health has also put in place several health policies that embrace youthful concern.
Across the board, stakeholders are unanimous. Nigeria must harness the potential of its youthful population through targeted policies, increased investments in reproductive health to unlock long-term prosperity. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
And joining us live in the studio is the Acting Program Officer, Governance and Climate Justice Lead, responsible for population matters in Oxfam in Nigeria, Dr. Kenneth Akpan, to speak on this issue. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Good
now,
evening, Nigerians.
Today is World Population Day. Can you shed more light on the imperative of the theme, which is empowering young people to create the families they want in a fair and hopeful world?
Yeah, this theme for this year is very interesting because it focuses on the youth. And the youth population for Nigeria is very encouraging because we can see Nigeria's population is youthful. And we're taking advantage of that youthfulness, their energy, to see how Nigeria's future can be sustained is very important. So the focus on youth this year, let me take us back to like globally, we're looking at 8 billion people. And out of that 8 billion people, Nigeria constitutes about 2.4 thereabout% of that population. So it is very important that we as a nation put those youth who will continue to make sure that we have a country called Nigeria, their interests around education, their interests around their reproductive health, their interests about empowering them to take right decisions. And we at Oxfam, what we do is we fight poverty, inequality, and to make sure that people are heard, particularly the youth, making sure that they are spotlighted and their voices are heard in good governance, like the present administration is doing. I will commend, because there are some very good policies that are targeted at the youth. I would say for me, infrastructure is very important because if there are no infrastructure to take, this population growth, it will be a disaster. So, for example, you go out to the streets, you ask an average Nigerian youth, why are you not married? The questions and the answers are always like, they are not ready because financially, empowerment, they are not well empowered. Years back, we know people get married earlier than they do now. And this is also affecting our population growth. Between 2022 and now, Nigeria's population growth has declined by about 2%. So these are all speaking to those intricacies that are influencing the youth taking charge and doing the needful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, In Nigeria, with a projected increase in population growth in the next 10 years, how does this theme resonate with policymakers and national development?
Yeah, policymakers have a very great opportunity to make an impact, particularly investing in the youth is something that we will always reap the dividend in no short time. As politicians, restiveness of the youth is something we don't even want, or they don't even want. So why not harness their potentials by putting in place infrastructure? There was a program, let me put it out here, called the School Feeding Program. And billions were spent on that project. But today, sustainability and continuity has been a bane. So what happens to those children that cannot be fed today? Are they back in school or not? So what I'm trying to say is that there are some policies that really don't, help us as a nation. Putting infrastructure down with those kinds of billions that were spent during that time, we will have youth, we will have future generation benefiting from it, taking rightful decisions around, population, education, infrastructural developments like hospitals. These are all the things that when they are in place, we are also talking about migration when it comes to population. Okay. People are migrating to the urban centers, and simply because there are infrastructure that will meet their needs. And there's a whole lot of stretch, bringing about crisis here and there. But if these infrastructures are spread out to rural centers, you'll find out that our population will be locked in and development will be evenly spread, avoiding crisis and giving us a viable population in the future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akman, for coming on the news and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
Right. You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll pause here and take a short break. We will be back with more news.
I therefore call on my colleagues, or media professionals and editors, to be discerning in their reportage. We must deny these groups the undue publicity they crave. We must take them off the front pages and accurately report them as the criminals that they are, without glorifying their acts or giving credence to their false narratives. These, of course, are not freedom fighters. They are murderers, kidnappers, and destroyers, and they must be presented as such.
Welcome back. Now, Beijing has denied asking firms to illegally collect and store users' personal information after an Irish regulator helping the European Union regulate data privacy began investigating Chinese social media giant TikTok. Comfort Fashion has the details.
Following data privacy investigation, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman of the Chinese government, Mao Ning, said the Chinese government attaches great importance to and protects data privacy and security in accordance with the law. Beijing, Mao said, has never and will never require companies or individuals to illegally collect or store data. She further told the media that China hopes that the European side will respect the market economy and fair competition and provide a fair, just and non-discriminatory business environment for companies from all countries. The social media giant has been in the crosshairs of Western governments for years over fears that personal data could be used by China for espionage or propaganda purposes. However, TikTok has insisted that it has never received any requests from Chinese authorities for European users' data. TikTok was fined 530 million euros. That's equivalent of $620 million in May by the Data Protection Commission over sending personal data to China, although the Chinese social media giant had insisted this data was only accessed remotely. TikTok, which has 1.5 billion users worldwide, is a division of Chinese tech giant ByteDance. Comforts, fashion, NTA News.
And foreign ministers from China, Russia, the United States and member states of the Southeast Asian bloc attended the 32nd ASEAN Regional Forum at the Convention Center in Kuala Lumpur, with U.S. tariff overshadowing three-day conference. Again, Comfort Fashion has details.
Wang Yi and Marco Rubio are in Kuala Lumpur for a gathering of foreign ministers from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which Japan, South Korea and Australia and other nations are also attending. But U.S. tariffs have overshadowed the three-day conference as Rubio defended the widespread duties imposed by Donald Trump as necessary to rebalance America's trade relationships.
It was a very constructive and positive meeting and gave us a lot to work on. So that was our message, was the opportunity here to achieve some strategic stability and identify areas where we can cooperate together on and build better communications and working trust.
Trump has threatened punitive tariffs ranging from 20 to 50% against more than 20 countries, many of them in Asia, if they do not strike deals with Washington by August 1st. ASEAN expressed concern over tariffs, which it described as counterproductive and a threat to regional growth, according to a joint communiqué released on Friday. Longtime U.S. ally Japan also faces a 25% across-the-board levy, separate from similar charges for cars, steel and aluminum that have already been imposed. Seoul also faces a similar tariff. At one point, the United States hit China with additional levies of 145% on its goods as both sides engaged in tit-for-tat escalation. China's countermeasures on U.S. goods also reached 125%. Beijing and Washington, however, agreed in May to temporarily slash their staggeringly high tariffs, an outcome Trump dubbed as total reset. But deep mistrust remains between the two countries, with each suspecting the other of trying to weaken its influence. Comfort, fashion, NTA News.
And the federal government is attracting more investors to revitalize the textile and garment industries in the country. This initiative follows the government's effort to create a supportive environment and provide incentives for cotton cultivation and other opportunities for key industry players. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
Most Nigerian textile industries are dormant and those still operational functioning below their capacity. Consequently, the country loses an estimated $6 billion annually on textile import, going by the statistics from the Central Bank of Nigeria. However, the present administration is working to reverse the trend and position Nigeria among the world's leading producers and exporters of textiles and garments. This led to a meeting between the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, and the Cotton Textile and Garment Development Forum. The SGF reaffirmed the government's steadfast commitment to revitalizing this textile industry, recognizing its crucial role in job creation, economic diversification, and sustainable development.
There were certain developments that affected the industry, and that is why government quickly accepted this suggestion from your own group to put up this board to ensure that there is a revitalization of that very, very vital sector.
The coordinator of the Cotton, Textile and Garment Development Forum, Anebe Achimogu, stated that reviving the sector could generate over $5 billion annually. He emphasized the forum's dedication to collaborating with the federal government to reposition the sector as a cornerstone of economic diversification capable of creating over 2 million jobs, conserving foreign exchange, and significantly contributing to the nation's GDP.
We have no doubt that under your leadership and your continued support, the CTG sector will drive prosperity, job creation, and industrial growth for Nigeria.
In April this year, the National Economic Council approved the establishment of the Cotton, Textile and Garment Development Board as part of the revitalization efforts.
Since, the Cotton Board was dissolved many years ago, this board will play a pivotal role in bringing the sector back to life.
Most importantly, it's commendable also that this board is going to be industry-driven. It's not going to be like maybe some other boards that, people who are not vested in the industry are the one driving it.
Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The University of Abuja and the Dairy Ranchers Association of Nigeria have signed a memorandum of understanding to enhance milk and fodder production in Nigeria while equipping students with vital skills for the livestock industry. The agreement aims to foster collaboration between academia and industry, addressing critical gaps in dairy production and skilled manpower. Acting Vice-Chancellor Professor Patricia Monkolar described the MOU as a historic opportunity to boost local milk production and meet Nigeria's growing demand. Kodoran President Muhammadu Abubakar emphasized the partnership's role in addressing the chronic shortage of skilled dairy scientists and technicians in Nigeria.
The Department of Dairy Science in the University of Abuja, a great and outstanding institution of learning, offers the Nigerian dairy industry a platform to provide long-term solutions to the manpower shortage experienced in the industry and to bridge the gap between the academia and industry as far as the dairy industry is concerned.
It is a great opportunity for the Nigerian dairy industry to seek partners in academia to expand on the skilled manpower resource available for that industry.
And this is where we end the news. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I am Frama Hanyi, and Hannah Olayinka has been the sign language interpreter.